smartest guys around are about to break it down like they won the game a million times.
Well, actually, they didn't really win the game at all.
Survivor know it all. Survivor know it all. Stephen Rock without a doubt got the game all figured out. They know it all.
Yes, that's right. Survivor Know-It-Alls live here after episode number 6 of Survivor Island of the Idols. And Stephen Fishbach, what an episode it was.
Yeah, really, it was such a fun episode. Like we had this, it was heartfelt. There was powerful social dynamics being explored, and then we also had this really interesting strategic face-off, 4-4 split that actually comes down to what I thought was going to be one of the most useless advantages in the history of the show. Turned out to have like the perfect use case tonight, which I'm really excited to talk to you about. And sad story, Jason Linden goes home. I hear some people think he looks like you.
I've heard that. A handsome guy, certainly. And we've lost a good one tonight. But, Stephen, very excited to talk about this because I thought that this is the best episode of the season, not close.
Would we call him J-Sob Lindernino?
I don't know why you would.
Yeah, I agree. A great episode tonight. Really fun. Fun across the board. Elaine has got so much spirit. I'm very sad to lose Jason. A lot of people thought that he had a winner's edit, whatever that means. And but regardless, he gave great confessionals. He was always gold in the confessional booth. He seemed strategic. He had a really rough first episode, and he kind of was able to come back and the Survivor gods, the Survivor Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot to talk about here tonight. Why don't we set the table here a little bit? Get your questions into the show. Hashtag RHAP. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this episode of Survivor tonight. And then we'll speak with Jason Linden on the exit interview on Thursday, Halloween day exit interview.
Spooktacular exit interview.
Stephen, do you have a costume for Halloween this year?
Well, we know that J-Sob Lindernino is going to be coming as Rob Cesternino.
Did you squeeze an Oz in there also?
Oh, I didn't even. Yeah. It just rolls off the tongue.
I guess so. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got a great show for you on Thursday as well, because if you were wondering on Thursday, where is
Davey?
Where's Davey?
Oh.
He'll be talking to me on Thursday. So excited to talk with Davey Rickenbacker. We're going to do that one live. Look for us around 5 p.m. Eastern on Halloween Day. Talk with Davey about everything that's going on. And then, Stephen, one of your favorites, Allie Lasher, will be joining me on the Survivor Feedback Show later on this weekend.
I'm not allowed to acknowledge that I know who Allie Lasher is.
All right. So a lot to get to here tonight. And yeah, I guess we have to start with the blindside of Jason. I was stunned.
I really thought, the first time I thought that it might actually be Jason was when Jason went to fist bump Aaron and he left him hanging. And that was like, oh, maybe Aaron is not 100% on board with these Vokai guys.
Yeah. It was really, I thought that the episode really did a great job of not only did you get a misdirection on what's Aaron going to do? Which way is Aaron going? But then also in terms of who the votes were going to be on from the original Lyra people, there was like a moment where they made a case where it could have been anybody. So
I loved that. I loved that montage where you had like each of the different Lyro people talking about the reasons for each of the different Vokai people. I thought that really captured how strategy actually works. You know, how alliances will kind of endlessly talk through the different the different possibilities. So I really loved that bit. It felt to me like a really authentic way of expressing through the TV screen what it's like to be on the island.
yeah, so that was really, really exciting. And then we got to the tribal council, and then I was really surprised Elaine pulled out her vote. What would you call it? Vote cancel?
Yeah, block a vote.
Block a vote, which
Block a vote.
was confusing to some of the players. And then it ended up being Jace. I guess let's start with Aaron. The
one other thing I want to say about the editing, or like in terms of the narrative, it really set up too this Elaine, like it seemed like an Elaine a takedown episode. You know, it seemed like the Elaine Pride cometh before a fall episode, where all episode long she's talking about how confident she is. We see her repeatedly contradicted by events. You know, she's like, no one's gonna flip, and then you cut to Missy and she's like, I want to flip, you know, and then you see her just like so wrong about everything. You know, we had her on the Island of the Idols being rash, which we've learned is not a great look, and then it was totally not. So great misdirection.
Yeah.
So sorry, go back to what you were saying, Jason.
No, well, I want
Aaron.
Yeah,
Aaron.
let's talk about Aaron, because Aaron, I want to talk through with you. Did he make the right decision? Should he have gone with Vokai and been set up here a little bit with them, or did he make the right call to stick with Lyro? Who, now, don't forget, he's somebody who was blindsided on the Ronnie vote way back when. He has no love for Elaine. Do you think he made the right call?
I mean, it's tough. As a rule, I want to talk through it because I'm really curious what you think. As a rule, I generally think you want to stick with your group. You know, I think that people don't mind being voted out by an enemy. Well, no one wants to be voted out, but people don't mind it when an enemy votes against them. But there's nothing that anyone hates quite like being betrayed by a friend or a putative ally. So I felt, like I'm typically against flipping as a rule, because I think, trying to play that middle ground is often results in you just being hated by everyone on both sides.
You can make it work.
That's it. What?
Some people can make it work.
Well, almost.
Yeah.
Almost. I guess like Tony is the rare exception. I'm sure that's who you were thinking about.
Yeah.
The great Tony Vlachos. But in Aaron's specific case, I agree with you. There was a lot to be said for him flipping. Like given his unique situation where Elaine was the person that he wanted gone to begin with, it didn't seem like Missy and Elizabeth were like that Lyro strong either. And he built all these bonds with Vokai. There seemed to be a good relationship with Tommy, where there was sort of a mutual protection pact. Even with this vote, Vokai is still going to have the numbers at the merge. Even if the next person to go is a Vokai will have the numbers at the merge. There seemed to be a lot of good reasons to make the flip. I'm really curious what you think. I think like he basically did both things wrong. He was neither loyal to Lyro nor did flip to Vokai. So like Vokai's pissed at him, and like Lyro doesn't necessarily think he's like some great loyal soldier.
Right. So I don't know why he took the lie so far down the road, where he was going to end up betraying the people that he had been working with. Like we saw in the case of Missy and Aaron, they got to New Vokai. They immediately said, hey, we're going to flip. Then Elaine comes back. Hey, good news. I got the vote cancel. Missy instantly turns and is like, okay, Elaine's back. She's our hero. We're gonna vote. We're voting out one of them. But it seemed like that Aaron continued down that path, and we don't know what it was that ultimately got him back onto the old Lyro side of things.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I think like ultimately sticking with his original alliance is not a terrible decision. That group can take charge of that tribe. And I'm really curious to talk about. I actually think, I know we disagreed about this last week. I think this group of Lyro people might want to actually throw a challenge. I was I was against it when you proposed it last week, but I think this week, I don't think there's basically no chance that one of these people has an idol. Vokai, I think it didn't make sense for Vokai on Vokai to throw a challenge because they're in the power position. But Lero on Lero is in the minority position now. And I think if they throw a challenge like that, actually could be a good move.
Yeah, you're a step ahead. I didn't even start thinking about the next vote. But boy, what a great way for Lero to get back in this thing, to throw a challenge and then potentially get rid of somebody else from original Vokai.
Yeah, and if they do that, they're only behind by one, which is, they're still behind, but it's not as big a deficit, obviously.
Yeah. So
you've got Nora who's ready to flip. So if they can do that, get to the merge, and you've got Nora ready to jump ship, they could have a shot at this thing.
Yeah, and what I liked about this move for Missy and for Aaron to stick with the original numbers as opposed to not moving forward with the new Vokai people is, hey, you want to flip at the next vote, you got that option too. But I think it's really about on Survivor, you want to have as many different ways. I can go this way, I can go this way. You're really sort of boxed in if you vote out one of the Vokai. It's basically that road is closed. If you come to the group of Tommy and Dan and Lauren next week and say, hey, we're thinking about voting with you guys. Great, you're back with us. You could they'll be thrilled. So you still have two different ways you can go with this.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was probably the right choice. I mean, because, next vote, and we know that Aaron is someone who likes to think 2 and 3 votes out. The next vote for him is he could be the one to go, and again, like that person often is the one to go. So if Aaron were in fact to flip to the Vokais for this vote, they vote out Elaine, there's every reason for them to vote out Aaron at the next time.
Yeah. So, and Aaron really went super far with it, where to the point where like before the votes were read, Tommy's like, are we good? He's like, we're good. We got this. We got this.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like you're not going to say like, no, we're not
right,
good. Like that's
right. But he was like, he really sold it way past where, Missy was at the point of having to sell it to that group.
Yeah. I mean, I would, I guess tribal council's the place where you want to lie the most, where like, you don't want to like even give a hint that you're,
so
going to turn on people.
Could we go back to Jason? Because I want to talk about, again, I'm so surprised that it was Jason at this tribal council. I think that Jason's arc on the show, Stephen, ended up turning out that he was in a nosedive from the second he got there. And then he pulled up. And I feel like that he did too good of a job, Stephen. He made himself into too perfect of a player that he was like, oh, got to get rid of Jason. He'll win this thing.
Yeah, it's a nice arc, honestly. Like, you're right. Like, classic sort of like nerd, plays too fast out of the gate. Everyone mistrusts him. Then he like gets into a strong position in his group. He's a trusted member. And then he goes out as a huge threat. It's an arc we both know and love. And, I feel like...
Yeah, you're talking about Christian.
Exactly. We know and love it from David versus Goliath. And I agree. Well, let's talk about Jason. Like, is Jason the right move for the Leros here?
Well, it was interesting. So I think that what saved Tommy was the relationship that he had with Aaron in terms of coming up with the vote. I think that what saved Lauren was the relationship that she had with Missy, which we haven't really seen on the show. But going back to the preseason interviews, Lauren talked a lot about how, hey, she didn't know Missy's name, but she talked about, hey, the other, African-American woman, I want to work with her. If I get into the game, I want to work with her. And then you saw that they seemed to have a bond at the tribal council. It seemed like that Lauren looked to Missy, and it seemed like that they had a connection. Jason, I don't know if he had his person on Vokai. And then I think between him and Dan, I think he seemed like the threat. He seemed like the person that was going to be the person who maybe was going to potentially go further in the game than Dan. So I think that's what made him the target.
Yeah, I completely agree. I honestly think that's the right person. Like, I think it, like, if I were them, I would have taken out the Jason too. I mean, even just because of his archetype, I mean, sad to say that Jason was screwed by the Christians and the Cochrans past. I think that people look at that guy and they think, oh, he's a devious player. He's a strategist. He knows the game. Let's get him out now. Well, we've got the opportunity.
Now, this is sort of like galaxy brain thinking. If Jason continued to be out in the woods looking for idols nonstop, Stephen,
Would he have been better off?
Would he have been better off because either maybe he finds an idol, or then they say, oh no, he's out of control. He can't win the game. Let's vote out Dan.
Yeah, you need to pull the Nora. I mean, should future Jasons play like Nora? Is that the move?
I think everybody should play like Nora, because then people aren't looking at you as a big threat that they need to get rid of.
Yeah. I think that's the move.
Okay.
Either be safe or be crazy.
Let's talk about Elaine on the Island of the Idols, because again, this was a really great part of the episode. Elaine is given this task by Rob and Sandra, but I really feel like that this lesson did not really translate, Stephen. So Elaine gets to the Island of the Idols. We have an hourglass. Turns the hourglass over. Okay, Nora, you got 30 seconds until this hourglass is up, and we're gonna, give you. And so I'll take it. Wait,
what was the lesson again? It was like how to make snap judgments or something. I
think the lesson was supposed to be, hey, just don't let somebody pressure you into making a bad decision. But she makes the snap decision, and then it ends up being kind of a relatively easier task, and then she ends up getting somebody voted out. So I feel like the lesson kind of backfired. It should have been like, all right, here's your mission. You need to go and steal, I don't know, something very difficult. something hard.
Like making that snap decision should have had consequences.
Yeah, the lesson should have been, hey, just because somebody's trying to pressure you and saying the clock is ticking, you shouldn't listen to you shouldn't take their offer. If they gave her an hour, I think she would have come back and said, well, we're in a tight spot, but this could get me out of that jam. I'll definitely do this.
Yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer for her, like on every level. I mean, to be fair, like no matter what you're going to play, you're going to take the game. Like anyone on Survivor is going to take the game. And like the hourglass, like someone is not going to risk like missing out on the hourglass. What Survivor contestant is going to say, let me think about this, and then risk the time running out. And then, it was, obviously she was going to go for the vote blocker, regardless of the consequences. Yeah. And getting into the challenge. It's such an easy thing. Like, so, I saw some people on Twitter saying, is it too easy now to get these awards at the challenge? Other people obviously saying like, oh my God, how did nobody see her getting the award at getting the advantage at the challenge? What do you think, Rob? Like, what's your level look? What's your perception?
It's fun. I think we've seen it 4 times now. In terms of, I think that it was that Kelly and Jeremy got to do it in Second Chance. We saw Troy Zan do it in the Game Changers.
Game Changers.
And here's so far, but people are 4 for 4. So nobody's biffed it yet.
I think it's, the Kelly's one was a great moment. The first time we saw it, and then it was just like, she had to like go backwards, everyone's attention. And, you're in these challenges, and it's true. Like everyone's attention is so focused on the task at hand that no one is really noticing what you're doing. But when you're the person who has to get it, I would imagine that the stakes feel incredibly high. One person like looks at you askance, and suddenly the jig is up, and it's great TV. I love it. I think it's a great challenge. Even if it's not hard, and I agree with you that given what Elaine's lesson was, it wasn't hard enough. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, because she did the opposite of what she's supposed to do there. It's got to be just like the lesson for Elizabeth was, hey, don't take every deal. It's like if somebody's trying to pressure you, all right, you got 10 seconds to give me an answer. 10, 9, 8. Like you're getting screwed. It's a bad deal. But Elaine's like, sure, whatever. I don't care. What I'll do. Whatever. I don't care. What? I'll do it.
And Sandra said that she can win the whole thing.
She can win the whole thing. Sandra, I think, becomes very attached to the players that go to the Island of the Idols.
Yeah, she's got that's what and Elaine said to Sandra, like, I love you or something like that, right? She said like you're my hero. Yeah.
But Stephen, the Elaine jumping at the chance to play the game, and we saw this with Nora. We've seen it with almost every contestant that's gone there, with the exception of Kelly. I do think that
Elizabeth hedged a little bit, right? She wasn't totally.
Yeah, a little bit. I guess when she was told that she had to go up against Boston Rob in the fire making challenge, but she still ultimately did it. So I feel like that this is not necessarily different than how we've seen this season about how every vote, big move, blindside, where I think that the players just are so eager that there's almost no chance that anybody is going to turn this down, because it's, hey, we gotta make moves. I'm out here. I need to take advantage of this opportunity. I can't let one slip by.
Do you think that the tasks should just be like mandatory? Like, you've got to play this game?
No, but I feel like that they should be, a little bit harder, because I feel like it's fun when people lose them.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's a little fun when people try and lose. And especially, I like the fact that people can like decide whether to play or not. But yeah, other than Elizabeth's, which was impossible, they've all been somewhat easy.
Mm-hmm. But all in all, I thought this was really fun, and I
guess Nora's too was not.
Nora's
easy.
was not a gimme. Now, Stephen, that they've also been these last 2 times on the Island of the Idols, they've been doing the vote block instead of idols. Do we prefer this to having all these idols in the game?
Well, like I said, I thought vote block was kind of like a completely absurd. It's like such a situational thing where like the numbers have to be tied up. You have to like have, one block is going to completely change the game for you. And the way that an idol is able to, it's still situational, but it's less, so specifically situational. And an idol can be used, with any deficit in the numbers, whereas a vote block is only really useful if it's either a tie or you're just down one number. And so I thought a vote block was a ridiculous reward, but clearly I was proven wrong.
Yeah, no, it was good.
It was so perfect for tonight. And it reminded me of the legacy advantage, which I also thought was like, what a stupidly situational thing. And then when we had the whole like Sarah Sierra thing, and then
and then it was and then it perfectly screwed over Sari, so she wouldn't win.
as destiny, it's a call.
So it's a good thing that we had that.
Well, I mean, regardless of the results, it played out sort of like as theatrically as that advantage could play out.
Yeah.
And I did feel that. In general, I think it's like too situational, this vote block thing. And I kind of think an idol, I don't love idols everywhere. I like the idea of like limited use idols, because I think that kind of is like it's like a lit fuse on that thing.
Actually, but in the case for Elaine, that she actually got lucky it was a vote block rather than an idol. Basically, that she couldn't screw up the vote block. Basically, like Missy and Aaron could flip against her, but she couldn't screw up. She couldn't play the idol on the wrong person. Whereas the idol, the degree of difficulty in that scenario would have been much harder.
Oh yeah, how would they possibly know who was getting voted for? Yeah. Does Aaron relay correctly the information in that circumstance? That it's Elaine. Do the vote guys give a fake name? There's so much going on there.
Stephen, at the point where the Vokai people thought they had Aaron and Missy, are you surprised they didn't try to do a vote split of like, hey, we're not sure if Elaine has the idol, maybe she'll play it on Elizabeth. Okay, we're gonna split our vote. Or then I guess if you signal to them that there's gonna be a vote split, then I guess then they'll say, okay, well, we'll just put our 4 votes back together.
Yeah, I think their whole thing was like, we're willing to go to rocks, and you guys are, either you go to rocks against us or you join us. And I think that was a pretty. I thought the vote guys played it really well. Obviously, this magical advantage ended up completely screwing them, but I thought they did a really good job of saying, the 4 of us are voting together no matter what. We're willing to go to rocks. If you don't want to go to rocks, then you're going to have to, vote against each other, and then kind of individually fostering these relationships like we saw with Tommy and Aaron, and in a few other cases as well.
So another great part of this episode was I really thought that the challenge went back and forth, and then I really thought that after everything that Elaine went through, I thought Vokai was going to win. They had a big lead, and then to have Lyro come back in the challenge between Jamal and Dean, making those. That the misses from Aaron were in and out. It was a incredibly dramatic finish to the immunity challenge tonight.
Oh yeah, and that's what was so incredible about it. It was like, it's the perfect situation for a vote block, and yet it didn't look like it was even going to happen. It looked like once again Vokai was going to win. And no.
I love this episode. So Jamal, we have to talk about this amazing scene that ends up happening between him and Jack. And so it starts out, and we have this exchange where Jack says something very dumb. He ends up saying about how, hey, could you use that dude? I don't even know why you would say that, but again, Jack himself would say, dumb thing to say. And Jamal has like this amazing moment with Jack. I thought that this whole thing was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, such an incredible scene. I can't even think of another show where something like that has happened. And to Jamal's like the way, like both with like so much like insight and wisdom, and at the same time generosity to Jack. Like the way he explained these things was just like such an incredible moment.
It was really just so captivating, the whole thing, because I mean, Jack, he copped to it immediately. I said something dumb. He immediately asks for forgiveness from Jamal, and Jamal, who is hurt by the comment, then proceeds to then have a discussion with Jack. And this is just not commonplace on reality TV. And to me, I thought that really spoke to what is great about the show, where 20 years ago, where you had people coming together and having relationships that they get, and having conversations that they wouldn't have in the outside world. Going back to in the first Survivor season, where Rudy, wanted nothing to do with Richard Hatch. They end up becoming, very close friends over the course of that season. And this was just such a great teachable moment between Jamal and Jack.
Yeah, and I agree. It is really a testament to the show and the premise of the show, which brings people together from, such different contexts and such different, from every state, from every, like area, from like different jobs, and people who are, and so to have that sort of culture clash, and, again, like, some of the time that leads to conflict and, so much, and kudos to Jamal for being able to really like rise above that moment, and like, for the incredible way that he was able to like explain it, and again, like explain it not just to Jack, but to like everyone, like everyone listening. Yeah.
And one of the things that Jamal ended up saying at the end of it, and why it was, I feel like so brave for Jamal to handle it the way that he did, was that he talked about, and this is a social game. Don't forget, like, Jamal's still playing a game. He's not in a particularly great position, and Jack is one of his few allies in the game. So that if he ends up potentially, going too far with talking about this, Jack could turn around and say, like, hey, I've been thinking about this. We should get rid of Jamal. And so that this was like a fine line for him to have to walk between getting across the point he wanted to make, and then also potentially losing stature within the tribe.
Yeah. I mean, it was really incredible to the whole, across. I mean, it was just, I was in awe of the way that, he handled it and everything he said. And it was amazing that it made air too. It was really awesome.
Just all the way around. I feel like that this was such a well-rounded episode of the show.
Yeah. There was great strategy. There was sort of great, cross-cultural discussion. Some really fun character moments.
And if you could believe it, I'm saying that this was the greatest episode of the season, and there was a reward challenge and the Island of the Idols, Stephen.
Yeah,
2 challenges,
they really managed to get it all in there.
Island of the Idols.
Yeah, managed to get it all in there.
But everything was they nailed the pacing, I thought.
Yeah, it's just like, even like it was like the reward challenge was like 5 minutes in. I was really amazed and like, I'm really impressed that the show like spent as much time as it did with the Jack and Jamal discussion. They really like gave it the airtime that it deserved, but you sometimes these things, they get like really rushed, it's sort of like, yeah, but it was great.
Yeah, Jamal though is like so incredibly eloquent, and that I mean, all throughout the season, not just tonight. So
Yeah.
he is such a
But
great.
you loved that his idol searching
I
confessional
love
too. That
that.
was one of your,
Yeah. So he's in my mind. I think he's up there like with Penner for one of the most gifted Survivor orators.
Yeah. I definitely think he's fantastic. Yeah, the way that he narrated that idol search as kind of his own.
He could do books on
it was
tape.
like a search for personal growth. He also has a really great voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're sort of, it's yeah. I would listen to those.
Yeah. I'm dating myself to call it a book on tape, but we
Yeah.
don't
Audio books.
audio books. Yeah. All right, Stephen, let's get to some questions here in a moment, but first let's thank our sponsor. We've been talking about them most of the season here on Survivor Noodles. Honey, the browser extension that saves you money. Stephen, we're heading into November, and that means people are going to start doing a lot of shopping online. And what better way to get ready than with the Honey browser extension, which you can get for free at joinhoney.com/RHAP. And what it does is that it's going to try out all those little promo codes and coupon codes and special offers on shopping sites online to make sure that you are saving the most money, Stephen Fishbach.
Oh, it's better than a box full of chickens.
Better than, yeah, right. If you were buying one online, maybe there's a coupon code, and Honey is going to save you the money because whether you're shopping at sites like Amazon, Macy's, J. Crew, Domino's, Sephora, Target. Not sure if Applebee's online is one of the places you can go, but you just have the Honey browser extension. You click the little Honey button up in the toolbar, and then it's going to try out all the different or all the different promo codes for you to see what can save you money. It's great, especially on Amazon.com. Sometimes I'm looking at something on Amazon, and then it says, "Oh no, there's actually this is the same item, but it's listed here and it's $8 less." Okay, switch it over my cart. Yeah. Amazing. So Stephen,
and no question if it's a chicken or a rooster, you're buying online, it says right there. It says right there. Chicken.
So Honey has saved its 10 million users over $1 billion in savings. Listen, there's no reason not to use Honey. It's free, and it installs on your computer in just 2 clicks, not clucks, Stephen. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/RJP. That's joinhoney.com/RHAP. Okay. All right, Stephen. Let's go.
Yeah, so you make it. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we'll go ahead and bring in some questions. I know in the chat some people are saying that we've got a little bit of a lag tonight. I'm recording the show, audio and video, so I will upload the video after the fact. If that will hopefully, if you want to get a beautiful version of my conversation here with Stephen Fishbach tonight, of course, you can listen to the podcast anytime. robertswebsite.com/iTunes. All right, Stephen.
All right, John Bledsoe wants to know, do you now think Elaine realizes that Aaron was ready to flip on her after Jason said what he said after getting voted out? Remember, as Jason was getting voted out, he said, "Don't trust Aaron."
Yeah.
Will they not care because he ultimately stuck with them, or is trust lost knowing he was never going to go to Rocks?
Now, I watched this, I rewound it. I went back and to look at it. Stephen, do you think was Jason joking around about like, hey, don't trust Aaron, or was he serious?
Oh, no. Oh, I think he was totally serious. I think he was really emotional on that moment, and then he turns to his alliance and says that you guys never flipped on me, so you're my friends for life. I think that, getting voted out hurts, and especially when it's a complete blindside. Jason probably didn't have, he probably never even considered that he was going home. And you saw that with all 4 of them,
It was emotional.
Lauren
Jeff went down like, what would it mean to you to be voted out tonight? What would it mean to you to be voted out tonight?
Yeah, that was great. I really liked that moment. Although I did think that moment was sort of a prelude to Elaine getting voted off. It was like, each of the vocais has to wrestle with what it means. And then it's Elaine after all. But it was cool to see these vocais who had been in this, power position all season really suddenly have that dynamic just flipped on.
Well, specifically Tommy, who even Boston Rob said, "Oh, look, Tommy's mad." He was so angry. He was steaming.
Yeah. I mean, and how do you blame a guy for betraying you on Survivor?
How do you
can't?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I've actually found ways in my time.
We all do. Okay. Let's look at Benny Rod says, did Aaron just seal his fate as an early merge boot? Early merge boot. Assuming
Early
a
merge,
merge at 13, OG Lyro will at least be down 7-6. Aaron will stand out as the biggest physical strategic threat in the minority. He's almost certainly gone by the final 10 at this point. I don't know. I don't think I'm ready to necessarily, like, is it possible? Certainly, but, I don't feel like I would say that his fate is sealed, Stephen.
Yeah, I feel like Lyro actually has a little momentum, maybe.
Yeah.
But I do think it's likely. Aaron always did seem like the kind of person who might be gone in the early merge. He hits all the boxes, right? He's a big threat in these challenges. He's overly strategic, right? We see him in almost every episode, kind of like doing more than he needs to. He's the kind of person who it would make sense to vote out right when the merge hits. It did seem like his relationship with Tommy was going to help save him, but that relationship is obviously shattered by the way that Tommy glared at him. I hope nobody ever looks at me that way. It was terrifying. Mm-hmm. And so I do agree that it's likely that Aaron will be gone in the early merge.
Yeah. Okay. Stephen, I think you're probably right on that. I just think that Missy seems like she could, fall back in with the Lyro women, but Aaron doesn't seem like he has a lot of outs here.
Yeah, and Aaron was never, as we were saying earlier, Aaron was never that into the whole Lyro thing, right? Like the women's alliance, as you mentioned, that obviously didn't include him. So it never seemed like he had a great connection in that tribe other than Ronnie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a question from Noel, who asks us, how would it play out if Lauren, who was sitting out of the challenge, saw Elaine searching for and pocketing the advantage? Would it even matter? I don't think it would have.
I don't think it would have. I mean, they probably wouldn't have put their votes on Elaine. Maybe they would have worried that it was an idol. But yeah, I think it probably nothing they could do about it at that point in time.
I mean, if it was, hey, she has an idol, maybe you could do something about it. But hey, if she has a steal a vote, block a vote, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's why in that situation, it almost doesn't matter if anyone sees you grabbing it. For the people in the past who have grabbed idols, right? Wentworth and Jeremy and Troy, was it an idol that he got?
Yes.
There's so much that's gained from secrecy. But for Elaine in that situation, she could easily just like go in, rip it out, like wave it around to everyone, like, hey, I've got this block of vote here.
Hey, look at what I got, guys. Look at this. I got a vote block. I'll block your votes tonight. What are you gonna do? You can't do anything. Yeah.
And then she would be, it didn't matter. That's what was so frustrating about that. It was like there was no stakes.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm moderating the chat as we're going along here, Stephen. Okay.
All right, well, A is for Ant wants to know, did Tommy make a mistake at Tribal making mention of how many original Vokai were still in the game?
I mean, not particularly. I mean, nothing was going to change. I mean, did anybody lost sight of the numbers?
No, and I don't think that Aaron either was making a choice. Aaron probably went in there knowing what he was going to do, right? Aaron didn't make a last minute decision to flip. How did you feel about the whispering at Tribal, Rob? We're like whisperophobes here on this podcast, but
the whispering was odd in terms of like who was talking to who. I don't know why Vokai's vote would change. If there's no change in the vote, did they change the vote? And then Jason got like a double whisper.
I know. I thought that was funny. Like you had, what was it, Dan and Aaron both whispering into his ears?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or Tommy and Aaron.
Yeah, I don't know why all the whispering had to take place. What was changing?
Yeah, people just like to whisper now. JT's changed everything. Game changer JT.
He did. He changed everything. This is a question from Mary. Did Elaine become instantly iconic when she said, "Suck it up, Buttercup," and Boston Rob repeated it?
I do think that line is going to probably stick around in the Survivor idiom.
Is that the first time it's been said? I feel it sounds familiar. I'm not sure if it's maybe it was said on Big Brother, but I feel like that. I feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll be sucking up a few buttercups tomorrow.
Okay.
When I go through my kids' Halloween candy.
Oh yeah. Okay. Buttercup, is that a candy?
Peanut butter cup.
Oh, I see. Like you think that's what she meant? Suck it up like
No,
peanut
I
butter
don't think
cup?
that's what she meant, but that's what I'll be doing tomorrow, 24
I love
hours from
peanut
now.
butter.
Yeah.
This is a good reason to have kids, is to get
Oh,
Halloween candy.
Steven, it's the
proxy.
best reason to have kids. Find me
All right,
a better reason. I'll wait.
I need to think about that. Yeah, it's changed my-
then that they go out there and they collect a bunch of candy and you eat all the good stuff when they're sleeping.
Oh my God, that bothered me so much when my candy would be gone. I woken up.
Oh, so then you get to pay it forward.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. We got Noel here who wants to know, we all know the feeling of trying to fist bump your nearest bro and not getting any back. Was this a tell for Jason that Aaron flipped on the plan? Wasn't a great moment. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that when you don't get the fist bump returned, yeah, I think that's I thought it was funny when Lauren went to go to, was it Missy and Elizabeth, and then asking them like, hey, like I'm sorry, Lauren went to Missy and Elizabeth and asked her about like, hey, what's going on, and they like completely just weren't talking.
Oh, I don't. Was that at Tribal
No,
Council?
that was like at the well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're like, okay, you guys have anything funny, right? Like,
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay. All right. James wants to say, do you think that old Lyro made the right move in voting off Jason, or should they gone after Tommy since Tommy is the head of the Vokai tribe? I think that they probably, this went down where to get Aaron on board, I think you have to vote out the person that Aaron wants.
That's a really good point, that Aaron probably lobbied to save Tommy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
I think I would vote out Jason though. Still here. I mean, just even based on you're like Tommy. He's such a big guy. You know, it's no one's gonna lose track of Tommy at the merge.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get the answer to that. I don't know. We have to wait until we talk to somebody from Lyro again. What up, Tim?
Yeah, what up? Tim wants to know. Tommy's mad, but didn't he do the same thing to Jamal and Jack on the first vote they had?
Yes, but doesn't change how you feel after you get blindsided.
Yeah, rule of Survivor. When it's you doing the blindsiding, it's fun. When you're being blindsided, not fun.
Fun for the blindsider, not for the blindsidee.
Yeah. Okay. Tubby Lunchbox wants to know, didn't Elaine do the same thing tonight that Nora did 2 episodes ago? She agreed to do something without listening to Rob and Sandra. They praised Elaine for her choice, but knocked Nora for hers.
I don't think that they praised Elaine. That I think they said that they liked Elaine more than they liked Nora, but that they both were talking about how, you know, being impulsive, it's a double-edged sword. So I don't think that they were like, bravo, you took our offer without listening to it.
Yeah. And, you know, I think with Nora overall, their takeaway was she is not self-aware, right? Like they were both impulsive, but Nora was not self-aware. Elaine, I think, does have a little bit more self-knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, she was, you know, to be totally fair, Elaine really did not have her finger on the pulse of what was happening in her tribe. But like, it doesn't matter. She got her way with the vote.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Amanda has a question. After seeing this easy challenge from the IOI, next week will we see Rob saying, you need to steal the Declaration of Independence?
Is it an oscillation? Is it like hard to easy to hard? I haven't noticed that.
Maybe it is a map to an idol on the back of the Declaration of Independence.
I think I saw that movie.
Yeah. What about Mike Edwards?
All right. Mike Edwards wants to know, is it refreshing to see new challenges on the show instead of the recycle stuff? Is it refreshing? Yes, it is refreshing.
Yeah, it was nice.
It's fun.
It was fun.
It's fun.
I like the wrinkle also in the reward challenge that the person that shoots the slingshot has to be the person that you carry, because technically you'd have sort of like the big guy shooting the slingshot, and then that was the case where Aaron and Jack had to be carried, and then so you lose somebody. So I love it when we add in like, okay, well, you got to think about strategy here, and you can't just have like the same people do everything.
Yeah, I think Dalton Ross says, you want the survivors to have to make as many decisions as possible. And like so I like that a lot. Take a moment of appreciation for Aaron and his slingshot form here. Like he looked like a Greek statue every time he went back to pull back the slingshot. As someone who knows a little bit about slingshots, Aaron is definitely up there among the great slingshotters.
You hit your fair share of targets, Stephen.
I do. I can hit the target. I can hit a target.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about is this Thomer? How much different does the tribal council go if Elaine plays the advantage right before the vote instead of the middle of everything? Well, that implies that Aaron flipped at tribal council.
I was excited for her to do that. I was wondering if suddenly like the Vokai would be turning on each other. I thought that might have been a cool, I mean, thought experiment. Is there any chance that that happened? That like the Vokai were like the chaos of Vokai in that moment changed Aaron's mind? Is that possible?
That's interesting. Well, I guess they felt like that we have Aaron. So
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think that he switched his vote to tribal council.
I don't think so either, but I do think it's possible. I mean, he said it was going to be a live tribal council. Aaron himself.
Yeah. Is there any reason that we should think that one of the Vokai should have flipped to Lyro at that point?
I don't think so. Because I think for them, they still thought Aaron was with them.
Yeah.
Aaron was like right there saying, I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. Stephen, it's only going to be a couple more weeks until you and I are together in person in Brea, California at the Brea Improv. Check this out. We've got tickets online, robhasawebsite.com/Brea. So many people had a nice time with us in New York a couple of weeks ago.
It was so fun.
Come on out and be part of the fun. I think we're going to end up with our fair share of survivors in attendance as well. On December 4th, Brea Improv. It's going to be a really fun night. Come on out and see us. robhasawebsite.com/Brea for ticket information for that one at the Brea Improv. And then a lot of other stuff still going on. Stephen, the Amazing Race Australia is here.
Wow.
Season 4 preview coming up. Be on the lookout for that. And then this week, the Purple Pants podcast is back again. Bryce has some things to say about your friend of mine, Coach.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yes, that Bryce did some homework on Coach. Leprechaun 2, get ready for Halloween. Have you ever seen any of the Leprechaun movies, Stephen?
I did see the first Leprechaun movie. It was something else.
It's something else. We watched the sequel,
I bet so, yeah.
Leprechaun 2 on Robin and Akiva Need a Podcast. Perfect for Halloween. News AF this week. I know thank you for being with us here tonight, Steve. I know it's Game 7 of the World Series, so thank you for prioritizing us over watching the World Series. But if you watched Game 5 of the World Series, there were some women that were being very inappropriate at the World Series game. We talked about that, and I argued against why Judd Apatow is wrong to come out against Netflix for wanting to speed things up on the latest News AF with Danny and Tyson.
But you argued against whether Judd Apatow is wrong.
Yeah, Judd Apatow is saying like, oh, don't make Netflix be able to go faster.
So you argued against whether he's wrong. You're saying Judd Apatow is right.
No, he's wrong. He's wrong, Stephen.
Oh, okay. I was double negative.
Okay, all right.
No.
Well, do you think that Netflix should be allowed to go faster?
A lot of as many other people have already noted.
Let me ask you this way. Okay,
yeah.
Stephen, you're a writer. Do you care how fast people read your writing?
No, as long as they're buying.
What if somebody's a speed reader and they can get through the People blog in 10 seconds? Does that make you mad?
Read away.
Yeah.
Read away, people. I would love it. Speed read it again, send it to your friends.
Yeah. All right. Sequester 2019 Men and Women's Preview. Check that out. Brent Walgamont interviewed a bunch of the Sequester contestants. Sequester Season 3. Stephen Fishbach is huge into Sequester. He's very excited for the new season. I'll talk to Jason tomorrow as we mentioned earlier in the show. Looking forward to that one. And then Davey, where is Davey? You'll see him tomorrow on the podcast, on our recap. You can email in your questions, survivor@robhasawebsite.com. And then Allie Lasher will join me for the feedback show this week and get your feedback questions in for Allie Lasher. And Jessica Leese on the B&B this week. Jam-packed week here on RHAP. Don't forget why Jason lost. This should be a good one for David and Jessica to break down.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. What did Jason do wrong?
We'll find out.
But which rule did he violate? Don't get swap screwed?
I don't know.
Is that a Bloombergian rule?
I don't think he got advantage screwed more than swap screwed.
Right. Yeah. But he didn't get on the tribe with the huge majority like the other one did.
And then we had a season high wand-off submissions in week number 5. What will week 6 drag in after this incredible episode? Find out on Monday on The Wiggle Room as well. Okay. All right. And then, of course, all this podcasting, everything we talked about, made possible by the support of the patrons of Rob Has a Podcast. I did a 3.5-hour patron cast on Tuesday night, Stephen.
Wow. What do you say? What do you say for 3.5 hours? I couldn't.
It's not like I give an address. I sit there and then people call in and they ask me questions, and then I talk about I answer whatever questions they have.
So you're like Daenerys when she's in Marine,
Yes,
kind of hearing the audience and then
right. And then people come to me and it's like, oh, this podcast killed my goat. I'm like, okay, well, we're very sorry about that. Let me take your name down. We'll send you a new goat. So it's like that, and then we'll have also our Facebook Friday coming up. So probably no less than 5+ hours of patron only shows this week.
How do you keep your voice? Do you drink a lot of tea with honey? Keep the voice limber?
Well, it's not the podcasting; it's the yelling at my kids, which really takes a toll.
Exactly.
But hopefully, after I'll get I won't have to yell at them. I'll just get back. I'll eat all their candy tomorrow. So,
okay. Revenge, best served cold.
Stephen, what will you do for Halloween?
I will probably watch a scary movie.
Oh, really? I didn't know you were a horror guy.
Oh my God, I love horror movies.
Yeah,
but I've never seen American Werewolf in Paris or London.
Is you gonna watch that?
And I might go see the Lighthouse.
Okay. Oh, 2 scary movies in one day?
Well, maybe spread them out over 2 days. So you're going trick or treating. What are you dressing up as?
Oh, I'm part of a Super Mario themed family.
Oh, which are you? Which are you? Are you gonna be Luigi?
No, the kids are Mario and Luigi.
So are you princess?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I want that would be ideal if I was a princess. No.
Which are you, Bowser?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we all know what hashtag JSobLindernina will be dressed as tomorrow.
And then Stephen, what now? Is that a blazer or that's a shirt that you have tonight?
It's just an overshirt. I'm trying to change up my LA. LA is very much more casual than New York.
Yes. Are you enjoying it?
Oh my God, I love it. I mean, not except for the fires, except for the horrifying fires.
For the fires. Okay. And now, Stephen, next week you are not going to be with us.
Next, I believe 2 weeks.
I thought it was 3.
Next 3 weeks. Wow, this is crazy. Who's filling in for me?
Well, I'm excited that I could tell you who's filling in for you, and hopefully.
Oh, good. That's why I asked.
I'm telling
you.
I
believe 2 weeks.
I thought it was 3. Oh, yeah, scheduled to fill in for Stephen Fishbach, none other than the Edge of Extinction Zone, Rick Devens.
Oh God, come on, can't you? That's terrible. You want the person to fill in for you to be worse. Rick is much better than me.
No.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I hope he does great.
Yeah,
but just slightly worse than me.
We'll see. All right, so that's going to be next week on the Know-It-Alls. Thanks so much to Scott St. Pierre behind the scenes, and I got to make sure we say happy birthday to Pia.
Happy birthday, Pia!
Pia's birthday is on Halloween. Stevie wanted to send a reminder. Happy birthday to Pia. Okay, have a good one, everybody. Take care and good night. Bye.